Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We're going to be going through some of the payment options that are inside of QuickBooks Online. And there's so many solutions. We want to make sure that we highlight a few. Of course, we're not going to be able to cover all of them, but it's a great time to be evaluating processes. So let's look at accounts payable solutions. And before I get started, Gary, is there anything else that you want to add?
Yes, you jumped right in. Well, you're ready to work, aren't you?
Right.
So yeah, a couple little housekeeping things. Now you've completely thrown me off. So let me let me start over. No, that's quite all right. Hey, you're in charge here. So yeah, so good afternoon and welcome to everybody. This is, like Liz just said, making payments using QuickBooks Online plugins. As you may have noticed, if you're engaged with Insightful Accountant, that we've moved to somewhat of a monthly theme in a lot of our content that Murph is pushing out there. In January, if you haven't seen it, is making payments. And so we're going to try to tailor the QuickBooks QB Talks to feature some of the payments as we go month to month. So again, my name is Gary Dehart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant, and I'm pleased to be here with Liz. And but before we go into a full introduction of Liz, for those of you who don't know her, but I can't believe that there's anyone out there who doesn't know you, Liz. But so before we get into that, a couple of housekeeping items. One, this is not a CPE event. Two, if you have any questions or comments, please just put them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get to them either during the session or at the end if time permits. Number three, you will receive a link to the replay of this event afterwards. And number four, I'm going to say it again. This is not a CPE event, so I've said it twice, covered my bases. So if you don't know Liz, you should. Liz is the CEO of Accounting Lifeline, the co-host of the Appy Hour, Insightful Accountant's QBO contributing editor, regular host of Insightful Accountant's QB Talks webinar series. She's an Endtoend Advanced Certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, a member of the Endtoend Trainer Writer Network, an international speaker and trainer, and an Insightful Accountant Top 100 Pro Advisor and Insightful Accountant's Top Educator, Trainer, Writer, Pro Advisor in 2020. So Liz, as I was writing all those things out, I thought you've come a long way since we met at SleaterCon. I don't even remember when that was, 6 years ago, maybe?
Oh gosh, I think it's actually been a little bit longer. It's like back in the day whenever Skeeter Sleater was a big thing.
That's right. How about that? Perfect. So, all right. Well, with that, we will turn it over to you. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for being here. And thanks for everyone tuning in.
Well, thank you for that introduction and getting us started. I see several comments over in chat about the slides, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever this recording gets posted, there will be the slides available, correct?
I was muted. Yes. Yep. We will make those available.
Okay, well, thank you. So yes, confirmed, these will be available to you to be able to follow along. And one of the reasons why you might want to is just being able to look at these payments side by side. We have options and we're going to look at them. Some of them range in complexity. What do you really need? And so if you have a really robust accounts payable company that you're working with and you put them in a really simple, streamlined, no frills type of accounts payable solution, they're going to struggle. And vice versa. If you have all of these features and it's just a simple 1 or 2 man show, then you're going to struggle with having too many places to click. So it's really nice to know what's available to you. And now all of these solutions have their place. So whenever I'm thinking about accounts payable pain points, this is not new to us. We're very aware of the manual processes. We're very aware of I'm going to take us all the way to the end of that no scalability. So whenever you're implementing a solution, there always has to be a time for implementing that solution. You're not going to be able to just implement and then suddenly you've got this incredible new productivity with your team. So it's really best knowing that it's going to take a little while to get trained to be able to pick the right solution to begin with. Yes, you can flip and you can go to a different solution if it doesn't fit, But the more that you understand about which solution that you're choosing, that adoption period is worthwhile, because then you're going to ultimately be exactly where you want to go. So the solutions that we're going to be taking a look at today is QuickBooks Online. So of course, we've got something built in there. Corpay, Shtar. I have gone back and forth about the way exactly to pronounce that, but I think it's Shtar. And then Tipulti, and then Melio. So those are going to be the areas of focus. And all of these, yes, do plug into QuickBooks Online. There are some articles that have been written. And so if you want to be able to look at those more in-depth articles, then you could definitely go over to Insightful Accountant and make sure to read those. But I'm going to go ahead and take you through each of these solutions here today. So QuickBooks Online, this is going to be one of the solutions that we all are very familiar with. So whenever I'm thinking about paying bills for clients, the thing that they most often say is they want to be able to look at their QuickBooks, they want to be able to see all of the bills to be paid, and then also be able to make payments. So knowing that this is a very familiar place to begin, I would say that you could click on each of these and then be able to create a check right inside of QuickBooks. I'm going to say some of the solutions that we're using today are going to be able to pick up from this screen and then be able to use that solution. So some of the solutions we're looking at are going to be built right into QuickBooks, and then some of them are going to be outside of QuickBooks because maybe there's more workflow options that are available, but then that syncs back to QuickBooks. So knowing that, let me flip back over here to our slide. And knowing that we have this option for payments inside of QuickBooks Online, this is free. So again, if you've got somebody that's small that you're training, I would say that if QuickBooks Online bill pay payments are okay for them, well, then maybe that's the place that you stop. I don't know. Oh my gosh, it would almost be interesting to see in chat if there's an answer to this. But for a lot of our clients, we use checks for less if they're somebody who's small that wants to continue to use and print checks. It's QuickBooks compatible checks for a much reduced price. And those are going to be some of those really traditional people. This next one is something that I've been asked about, and I added it in here. It doesn't quite fit into the rest of these solutions because it's not your traditional AP. There is this thing called QB Wallet. QuickBooks snuck it in on us, and so there hasn't been a whole lot of information about it. And there's been a little bit of confusion about, well, how do you use QuickBooks Wallet? Let me show you on this next slide right here. This is perfect for using a payment option for your QuickBooks products. So if you think about exactly the scenario that's on screen here, this is our QBOA. So logged in as the accountant, and I'm looking at all of the billing that has taken place for wholesale QuickBooks solutions, for your payroll solutions. You can actually have options or choices here in order to be able to decide how am I going to pay for this grouping of products. This payment wallet it's nice. I think that it was needed because there's times whenever I want to pay for different things different ways because I'm keeping track of it differently. So if I'm thinking about paying for our own firm's subscription, I'm going to be paying for it maybe by ACH. If I'm going to be paying for all of my clients at one time, maybe I'm going to use a credit card or a variety of credit cards. So you can plug in to the QB wallet these different options for payments, and it'll be available to you. Even if you had a subscription to QB, not QBO, but QB self-employed. So you could also have your wallet available there. So I just wanted to point this out because we're talking about plugins, and this one is essentially kind of a plugin, but it doesn't apply to our client's AP. All right, but what about Corpay? So Corpay, for those of you who are familiar with Corpay, then you probably know they were Roger AI, or if you remember them as Roger AI, well, they got a new name. And so Corpay won, and this is going to be a solution that's really designed for somebody who's got some robust needs. And that would be over here, if we look at some of the main call outs, is the document match. So being able to say that you're submitting an invoice, and then that invoice, or really in the AP world, would be the bill, and then looking at that bill and then making the payment based off of that bill. So we've got some matching happening there. And then the approvals. This is going to be a big one. If you've got a client who really wants to have some approval workflows, Corpay's got some great options in there. I think they're very easy to digest. It's a solution that is really fast to wrap your head around. It's laid out in a way that is very similar to a lot of the new solutions that are out there. So very user-friendly, easy to be able to see groupings of types of payments, and then the fraud detection, and then the vendor management. So right here is an example of being able to upload the bill directly into the solution. So this is going to be a solution that you use outside of QuickBooks. You're not going to have, you're not going to be able to have the payment process exactly inside of QuickBooks. This is going to be one of those that you're going to go over into the solution because there's so many features available. Whenever you are going through and you're uploading an invoice just like this, then you're going to have a dashboard. And this dashboard, these little bubbles here, they look really nice. And then being able to click on them, you're able to see over on the slide, there's a drawer that opens up. So very familiar type drawer. And then you're able to categorize. They also, Corpay also has the OCR ability. So they're going to be able to scrape off who is being paid. And then as you continue to use Corpay, they're going to start to memorize, oh, that vendor that you use for your website, over and over again, you categorize it as website or internet or groupings of dues and subscriptions, whatever it is that you decide to categorize it, it'll start to remember that. And down there in the bottom, you see that note attachment here. And so, oops, here we go. This is the one I'm going to show you. So right here, by clicking on that image in the bottom, that was the categorization, and then it had the image of the actual invoice. Here it is right there. So we could actually open it up and view all of the details that were on there. And then right there, that circling of the information, that's the OCR, what Corpay is going to be able to use to be able to say, who is it that you're paying? So it's going to get smarter and smarter as you go along, because a lot of these invoices, we call them bills, but a lot of these bills that we're looking at, they're going to have the location of the vendor name. They're going to have all of that, in the similar layout over and over again. If you have a vendor who changes their format, you probably will have to get Corpay to be reacquainted with the new styling. I'm going to say that's not just Corpay. That's going to be any OCR that's out there. Oh, I see Kim saying, what about HubDoc? So, yep, I agree. It really depends on what your solution looks like as far as what your workflow is. HubDoc has a different use case out there because, and for everybody who's wondering what I'm talking about, Kim had asked a question over inside of chat. She's talking about HubDoc. HubDoc, we all loved HubDoc. I'm going to say that there's a new HubDoc on the market, and I really, really like it. So HubDoc was bought by Xero, and there's a new solution out there that we are implementing now to be able to see, can we do as many things as we want to do? And it's the fetching piece. So vendors can actually send directly to a AP email address, and it'll have that stored in a location. if you are using something like HubDoc, that's this document collection and has this ability to dump into it, you could take that and you could put that into any of these solutions or import it directly into QuickBooks. And then some of these solutions that we're going to talk about that you would use directly inside of QuickBooks, it would help with that workflow. So here's Corpay's workflows. Not every single one of the solutions that we're going through has this type of workflow available to you. So what this means is requires a manager approval. Okay, so if you have somebody who has uploaded the bill and here it is, it's sitting and it's waiting, you could have a manager come through and look at it and say, yes, it's categorized correctly. And then automatically it would send it over to the next stage. And if you, here you can see, look at all these different options right here. So it needs to be sent through various people. You can plug in all of the different parties that need to be part of this workflow, and it can get pretty complex. So you can see that requires approved any of the following. So we've got two different names inside of this required manager approval. We've got a couple of different conditions that are here. So if it's got a situation where it needs to, any of the following departments or marketing are tagged, then it needs to go to these people. And then here on the third level, new office engineering approval. So if it meets the conditions of the department's engineering, so this is a tagging that would happen, then that tagging would go over to these other people. So if you have different departments that need to first say, did we receive those goods? Or did we actually receive those services? Then you would be able to route automatically inside of Corpay where these approvals should go to. There's also a built-in fraud detection here. So if you're using the app, there is a step there where you can put in some identification information, and this just helps with making sure that who is logged into the solution is who we want them to be. And then it also does a an ID verification. Here's a example of just the screen capture. So if you've got somebody who's using Corpay, because Corpay really is designed for a wide range of people. So you can be pretty simple and not have all of the workflow features, or you can be somebody who's scaling. And so you want to have a lot of options inside of a solution, easy to use, because we were looking at the little bubbles. Click here, looks pretty easy, very organized well. So inside that solution, Corpay is great for scalability. So if you know that that's on the agenda, then you want to use something that's going to be able to help you go from a scenario where you don't need a whole lot of features to I'm going to need all of these different approvals and departments and automation that would be in place. The other piece of this, so we're still talking about Corpay, that this is just really a highlight, because remember, I want you to be able to have these slides and be able to go back through, okay, which one fits where. So yes, you can scan, and yes, you've got this workflow builder. And then you've got the options for how you pay. So you could fund a check or ACH, and then you've got the sync. So the sync is there because this activity is taking place inside of Corpay. It's not taking place inside of QuickBooks. So you need the syncing in order to be able to push that over into QuickBooks. Okay, the next solution that I'm going to talk about is Tipalti. But before I move on, I'm wondering, do we have any questions here? So I answered that one live. Okay, I don't see any questions so far, so I'm going to keep going. Gary, if you see something pop through, just holler and we'll hop over to it. So the next one I want to call out is Tipalti. And Tipalti, many of you who have seen other Insightful Accountant webinars know that Tipalti is a solution that was a solution that I've been a fan of and continue to be. And it is truly designed for somebody who has high volume. There are so many features here that if you've got a client that you know has high volume, you want to start with a solution that's going to be able to handle that. Tipalti also has lots of workflows built into it, But some of the key features that I want to call out here is this vendor onboarding automation. That is like one of the slickest that I have seen. That vendor onboarding, I'm going to show you an image of it, but it's really easy to send over an invite to your vendors and then be able to say self onboard. They're going to be able to put in their own information, and it's going to be enough information to replace that W-9 need. So the bill approval automation, same thing here. So you could actually say that you've got a bill that is entered, and then you need to be able to also have an approval for that bill, just like we were seeing before. But then also you need to be able to have an approval for the payment of those bills or batches of those bill payments. Then you would be able to have various workflows and steps built into Tipalti as well. PO matching, that's pretty slick. It's pretty cool. So if you've got somebody who's a inventory, so manufacturing, anything that has a lot of parts and pieces, Tipalti is great and is able to handle that high volume. And what they can do is say that you have that PO, you've uploaded it and it's sitting inside of Tipalti, and you say, I've ordered 5 parts and those parts were all $50 each. Well, if you end up getting a bill and it's got 6 parts on there, Tipalti will actually flag that and it'll say there's a difference here. So our PO doesn't match the bill that we've received. Or if it was set for 5 at $50 and instead it's the payment that's being requested is saying that each of those is $55 instead. It will also, Tipalti is going to flag you and it's going to say our PO matches aren't, they don't exist here. And then the batch payments, that one's pretty cool too. So if I'm thinking about the batched payments, then the thing that is great is being able to make global payments. So Tipalti's got global payment options. Let me go ahead and click over here, because I'm going to show you a couple of these things that we're talking about. So vendor onboarding, here's one of the examples of the invite that has gone out to a vendor. So this is an email, this is on the vendor side of it, and it's asking for all of the tax ID information. It's asking the next thing is going to be down there at the bottom where it says back to payment method. What's cool about the payment method option is that you are asking your vendor, how do they want to be paid? And the way that that works is inside of Tipalti, because remember, there's a lot of robust features here. You've got all of these various options that your company or your client's company has said they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay in a wire transfer, ACH, e-check, all of these different options, a paper check, or there's several others that are available for payment options. And then your vendor can then say, of this list right here, this is my favorite way to get paid. And if they're saying that they want to be paid by ACH, then inside of this vendor invite, they can actually put in their own bank information. So that feels a lot more secure to a lot of vendors, that they're controlling their bank information, because we don't love giving out our routing and our account number. So here's an example of that bill approval automation. So here we've got a bill that has been scanned in, and we've got the details over inside the line. So I'm going to say down here at the bottom of this document where it says bill lines 2, over here is where we could have the description. We could put in which account to use, and then being able to say, does it tag to a project? So yes, these will tie to projects. And then also if there's a location, Tipalti has got that ability to tie into that as well. And then if you had an approver that said, ooh, this isn't exactly the right account for this particular bill, when they are approving, that automated email sends out, when they are approving, they can actually open up the bill and they can make some changes right away. I don't have a screenshot of it right here, but this is on the web browser. You can do this exact same bill approval on the go on your phone. I really like the mobile options that some of these solutions are offering, because I find that a lot of the companies that I work with, they're on the go. And so even though they're a manager, they're on the go, and I want to be able to tag them wherever they're at. So if there's mobile option, that's a big deal for us. Here's that PO matching that I was calling out earlier. So a great example is all of these red items. These are telling us that I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, here's the purchase order. Purchase order had 10 at $1,400. Well, what we received from the bill matching over to the PO, we received 13. So that's a discrepancy of 3. And then we had the amount was supposed to be $1,400. Now we have $1,820. So each of those flagged areas are going to be red. They're going to call it out for review. And you're going to be able to have this option for viewing before you even send it over for approvals. You can correct that. Or that's part of your approval process, either one. The batching of payments, here we go. So whenever I was talking earlier about you have several different payment options, these are just a few. There's several more. You can see the payment methods is right here in blue, kind of in the middle of the screen. So you got the e-check, wire transfer, and the ACH. Those are some of the options that are available inside of Tipalti. There's more. And then you can see what's happening here is you've got the approval of all of these payments. You can make them in a batch. So a lot of the clients that I work with, workflows are really big part of what we do. So we help our clients with the different variety of workflows. And so we'll say to them, maybe you receive an open mail on Monday or open all those emails on Monday. By Wednesday, all of those bills should be ready for approval. Thursday, approval happens. Friday, payments happen. So if that's the workflow that you follow, then on Friday, whenever it is payment day, then you can come through here and you can make one big payment to all of these vendors. And even though there's a variety of payment methods that are chosen, you could actually do the batch here. It does not matter inside of this option what kind of currency they use. There is a ridiculous amount of currency options inside of Tipalti. And so you can see right here, whenever I'm looking at this paid clear, there's the euro, there's the Great Britain, and then there's the US dollar. So there's a variety of different options here. If you're somebody who says, okay, yeah, but I want to know what was the total breakdown of those payments made, there is actually a payment reconciliation screen. And so you can go to that and you can see what was actually paid. And, just for a second set of eyes, if you've got a high volume, that's really something that is nice to keep an eye on. This is my last slide for Tipalti. So I'm going to go ahead and say, if you've got questions while I'm talking about this high velocity companies being a great fit for Tipalti, I'd go ahead and put those in. And so we covered a lot of this, the global end-to-end solution, that self-service supplier. So that was that screen where you're able to send over the invite to your vendor. They onboard themselves. We were looking at the browser option, but there is a phone option for those vendors to self-onboard. So they recognize that a lot of people are on the go. And then the enterprise grade financial controls. So being able to say, how do you want to pay? And then also, if you've got multi-companies, they handled that really well too. So you could have several different organizations or entities, and they're all paying various vendors that all relate. Tipalti can actually handle that. So it's adaptable. And then I'm going to flip over to, I don't see any questions coming in, so I'm going to flip over to the next one. And the next one is a solution that we're very familiar with, but I want to give some tips here whenever you're using Melio. Melio Purple is where we're going to focus today, but I want to make sure to call out that everyone's aware that there is a Melio Purple and a Melio Green. There's two different options whenever you're using Melio. So I'm going to say the majority of our clients are going to fit inside of that Melio Purple. Why would they maybe move over to Melio Green is that they want some more of the features They want to be able to log into the Melio dashboard, because with purple, there's not the need to move over into the dashboard. But with green, you don't have workflows per se, but you do have some additional options for being able to upload the bill and being able to have some controls over what does happen. So there is a receipt capture. So what you're going to do with Melio, if we're using purple, then with purple, that's going to be the plugin that is inside of QuickBooks. And so we'll look at that here in a second. But oversight of QuickBooks, I'm sure you, your clients, everybody has seen down there at the bottom of our screen, we have a new option that's saying schedule payments online. I really wish that we had a slightly different verbiage there, because I know that Melio, we're trying to draw some attention to these bill pay online options, and this is Melio is built right into QuickBooks. But sometimes it's confusing. So I'll look at that here in a second with you. The payment approval workflows, those are not going to be quite as robust. And so this would be for somebody who, it doesn't really matter their size. Melio can handle the volume, especially if you're moving over to Melio Purple, because that's the solution with more options in the dashboard that you can log into. But with Melio Purple, you're going to be able to have some additional features. One of the biggest things is the credit card option. So if you are working with a business and they have, I'm going to laugh here and you're going to laugh. But if you have a client who really wants to be able to pay with their credit card, that is an option inside of Melio. I have clients that want the points. Okay, so that is something that we all face. And I have to take a deep breath whenever I say that, because I wonder sometimes, are they paying more in interest than they are getting in their points? But, you know, that's not a conversation for right now. It's just one of those things that I think we all see. Various ways to send payments. So again, you can go ahead and do the ACH. You can do the credit card. I think one of the biggest call outs here in Melio is that if you are using the integrated solution inside of QuickBooks Online and you want to process an ACH payment, it's free. So of all of the solutions that we've been talking about, Melio Green is free. So, I mean, you can't beat the price. Now, if you decide to use Melio Green and then you want to process the credit card, there is a credit card processing fee. But again, you have those clients that are very, very set on their credit cards, or they have cash flow needs to be able to manage. And so really it's legitimate that they want to utilize the credit card, because we see a lot of small businesses that struggle, even big businesses that struggle with the cash flow. They're a profitable business, but they struggle with making sure that they've got enough dollars to be able to pay for payroll and accounts payable. Here are some options right here. This is going to call out some different workflows. So if you're looking at the screen, this top image here, this is purple. So if you want to have some of these robust options, you can see right here that are inside of this purple. This is going to be the purple solution that you're going to want. And this image is going to be of the purple solution. So if you're thinking about Melio Green, that's this option up here. So you can always stay inside of this green option. So it's going to be the QuickBooks Online receipt capture. So you're using QuickBooks, and then you're going to schedule the client payments. Again, that's going to be inside of QuickBooks. And then the live details pop up inside of QuickBooks again. So there was a comment earlier about HubDoc. So here would be an option to be able to plug in some apps together. So you could go ahead and say, I have a document storage solution, and I want to be able to plug it all into one place and then pull it all over. You could do that there. And then you've got the rest of your options. That receipt would still be sent to QuickBooks. And then you've got your purple options here. Oh, I've got a question about Bill.com. I'm not actually covering Bill.com today. And the reason that I'm not covering Bill.com is that really Melio took the place of Bill.com in a lot of our QuickBooks files. If there's the caveat to that, if you are somebody who was using Bill.com prior to Melio being incorporated, then you're still going to see the Bill.com option. I'm going to say that's going to take support in order to be able to back off of the Bill.com and then pull in Melio. So if you're somebody who has Bill.com currently attached to your QuickBooks file, that is something that you can manage. If Bill.com is working perfect for you, then I would say continue with it. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Bill.com. It's beloved by so many people because it was one of our original solutions to be able to help with accounts payable. We used Bill.com for a lot of years, and it was because of the workflow in there allowed us to have several people inside of our own firm that had different responsibilities, and then being able to share that with the client. Let me see over here. So Kim is asking, or has a comment really. So have you been able to brand the envelopes and checks so that it doesn't look like spam email? As far as I know right now, Kim, I don't know of a way to be able to, hey, Merv's here. Hi. I don't know of a way to be able to have the envelope branded. If you are using Purple, I'm not a huge Purple user, so I'm going to say if you are, you might want to throw over in chat that yes, that can be done in the Purple solution with Melio, but I don't think so. So I'm going to go ahead and move over. But Murph did make a comment. Oh, okay. So he's saying, hey, there's a really good article to go over and check out if you're using Bill.com. How do you know if you're using purple or green? Okay, that's a great question. Let me just flip over and I'm going to show you in product how you're going to know. So I'm back in that screen that we went to pay bills. And I was talking about some of these solutions are built directly inside of QuickBooks. And so they're integrated really tight. Down here, this schedule payments online. If you click here and you're inside of QuickBooks, you are using Melio Green. And if you think about it from the standpoint of Melio Green is the integrated QuickBooks. So everything QuickBooks is green. So you're inside of Melio Green. And if I say schedule payments online, here's where I'm going to get this new screen to pop up. And it's super easy to use. Again, it's free if you're doing the ACH. And so we've got, and I honestly, there's no hidden fees. I agree with that. I have not seen any hidden fees. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I said don't continue. Oh, silly me. Anyway, let me see. So thank you, Murph, for putting in that link to the article about Bill.com. The purple version, well, you would know if you have purple, because if you're not scheduling payments here in QuickBooks Online, then you probably, oh, I need to pick a bill first. Then you're probably going to be inside of green. I think that this is smart. If you are somebody who really likes to use Melio, then what I would do as the pro advisor is I would go ahead and set up an account with Melio as a pro advisor, and then you have a dashboard to be able to see all of your Melio clients. It doesn't matter if they're Melio green or purple, either way, you are actually able to have a dashboard that's going to show you all of those various options there. If you've got somebody who has already signed up for Melio, then it's going to be a little more difficult because then they would need to invite you. But if you think that it's something that your client would like to use and they haven't connected Melio green, they haven't got started yet, then from your account and dashboard, I would say invite them from there. That way you can make sure that you always have access and you see what's going on. It's really great for payment reconciliation. So here it is right there. So bank card, debit card was newly added. So if you are somebody who uses a debit card and would prefer to put in those credentials instead of the bank account, it's still free. And the credit card, right here, you would be able to pay by credit card. And then you need to be able to see, do they accept credit card payments? Let me see. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome. And again, I definitely say if you have not already started to use Melio, go ahead and make sure that you get signed up for that accountant dashboard so you can flip back through your clients. This is an example of somebody who has gone through the steps of setting it up, and here's our payment. We could actually look at what's scheduled. So this is inside of QuickBooks Online. So I did not have to go over into purple to be able to see this. So because I'm using Melio green inside of QuickBooks Online, I do have the option to go and look at my scheduled payments. And then I could go and I could view how were they paid. So all of the details. You can see here that this was deducted on the 18th and it's going to be delivered by the 21st. There is a lag. So if that matters to you and you need to be able to pay somebody the very next day, Melio is not going to be the right option for you. Some solutions that have next day features, you would want to go and look at those to be able to have a little more control of when they're paid. But I would even say here, this delay in payment, that's the reason why it's free, is they're using those dollars during that transition. And then the other thing that's here is you need to take into consideration a weekend or any type of holidays is going to prolong when that payment's going to be made. For me, I don't care, it's free. And we're small enough that being able to put in the bank information is perfect for us. Once you connect it the very first time, Melio the very first time, then you're going to be able to use those credentials over and over and over again. Here we just have the sending payments. So you can pay multiple bills at once. You can split payments. And then you can, inside of Melio, you can make international payments. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and say this is really this overview is you add your, okay, so thinking about workflow, y'all. So if you're working inside of QuickBooks Online, you're going to add your receipt using QuickBooks Online receipt capture, or over in the receipts area of the banking, you're going to have your receipts available there for viewing. And then instead of saying that it's a receipt, you can just call it a bill and it'll create that bill. There's a good call out right here. You do need to have a bill. So if it's an expense, Melio is not going to pick that up because we use expenses as if to say it's already been paid. It was paid at the time of entry. So, or transaction. So instead of thinking about entering receipts, you want to be able to enter bills here because bills are going to be the way that you're going to get to that Melio bill pay screen. So pay by card or bank, we've got that. And then choose the payment delivery. If you want to send out an email, you actually can with Melio just to notify them that a payment has been scheduled. What does the pay bills look like if it's Melio Purple? So if you're using Melio Purple, you can still use the features as if it's green. It just means that you have more options there. So you could actually go over inside of Melio Purple and you could start to, if I flip back, because you've got a really great question right there. If I flip back and I look at, here's a view of Melio Purple, then I'm going to have my inbox. Okay, well, that inbox does not exist inside of QuickBooks Online. So this would be a purple, but I could still pay it. And I can still view inside of QuickBooks Online because it's perfectly synced. So it's going to send all of these details over. And then I can still see my scheduled. And then I could even do some tagging if I wanted to do that as well. So it's a slightly different screen. Let's see, let's flip over here. I don't see any more questions right now. So I'm going to flip over to, I've said it Shatar and I've said it Star. So I think the second one's more correct. So whenever I'm thinking about this solution, this is going to be the newest one that's on my radar. So it wasn't until Murph, you wrote the article, that I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is a new solution to me. And so I wanted to be able to go through and look at what all do they offer. And so, automated accounting workflow. So you've got that, you've got the integration, and then their big thing is the end-to-end digital payments. So they're going to do a lot of the automation of the payments. And then they're going to have some approval controls. And if I look at where do you pay, so if I'm inside of QuickBooks, what's going to pop up is I've got my pay bills screen, and that would happen inside of QuickBooks. And then the next thing is I would be able to say, how do I want to pay them? So this solution, again, is going to integrate really nice into QuickBooks. And then you can see right there is print as a VCheck. Let me show you another screen of how this could be done. So if you're inside of QuickBooks Online and you go to process that payment, what's going to pop up is this write a check screen. So you're going to be able to pay with bank details or print to Shatar. So if you go, I said it again, Shatar, y'all. Anyway, so if I go over and I say print to, then I would be able to have that payment information and be available to me inside of the solution itself. So if I come over here and I said that I wanted to be able to print to Shatar, then I'm going to have my login and my password, and then I've got this auto approval option. Once it's paid, that transaction is going to be reconciled back into QuickBooks. So here it is right there. And I've got my, my payment that has been reconciled inside of QuickBooks. And so what they're saying is that, yes, that payment has been made, and it was able to make the payment for multiple bills here. And so it does integrate with QuickBooks. There is a piece of it that is going to take you over into the solution, but it does integrate with a lot of accounting options. So we've got QuickBooks Online, we've got Sage, we've got NetSuite, Oracle. And so I think this one is interesting down here, Rent Manager. I don't know what that looks like, but that's the thing that caught my attention. So thinking about an AP solution for landlords, that's big for us because we do help that industry. So knowing that there's a solution that's coming soon to be able to specifically help that industry, I'm curious. I'm curious what that looks like. And again, you can have the batches there. And then I'm going to flip over here. And I'm going to go ahead and share out. Oh, I said that. I want to share out. There is an Insightful Accountant article that Murph wrote, and it's really calling out some of these different features that are inside of this solution that to me is brand new. So if I think about my overview again, I've got my payments and then the reconciliation that happens. So it's pushing that back over. And then, you know, all of these solutions are going to help with this data entry problem that exists for so many. Let me stop in for a minute and talk about this screen right here. I wanted to be able to have all of the solutions that we covered side by side. So that way you're able to see what do these different solutions do and who would be a really good candidate for each of those. There is nothing wrong with sticking with QuickBooks Online. There's nothing wrong with getting the checks. Again, I would get, you know, the check stock that is compatible with QuickBooks from Checks for Less. And then also knowing that this QB wallets exist. So QuickBooks wallets, knowing that that really is for the product itself. So whenever you're paying for a QuickBooks product, that's whenever you're going to utilize those wallets. Corpay is going to be a solution that is designed for being able to handle really more robust workflows. Again, it's got the ability to scale. So some of my clients who are wanting to be able to go through that a new solution and they know that they've got some activity that's going to be stirring for that year or even the year after that, Corpay might be a really good solution to put them in because it's going to allow for that. It's got a lot of different options and flexibility there. You've got the approval process. Those of you who are talking about Bill.com over in chat, you know, Bill.com was one of our originals payment solutions, and I'm Bill.com originals, you know, the one that we utilized. There was a Bill.com Lite. So those of you that are looking at chat wondering about the Bill.com and QuickBooks Online, there was for a while, there was a plugin like Melio that was inside of QuickBooks Online and that was available. And so when you went to go process payments, you could just say use Bill.com, and it was the light version. So it just kept you inside of QuickBooks. And those of you who are using it might want to weigh in on what was the price. I think it's $5.99. So $5.99 for a for that solution really isn't too bad. But there was an agreement with Melio, and so we have this new solution with Melio, so we're able to have some additional options. So let me look over here. Let's see. I want to, the Melio Purple has got the more robust features in it, but the Melio Green is the one that is built right into QuickBooks. I see y'all asking over in chat about what was the replacement for HubDoc. I'll show you. Anyway, so the other option with Melio is that you can have some scalability there too. So I would say it's great for somebody who doesn't have a whole lot going on, but they want to be able to process payments. I don't know the last time I bought stamps. It's been a long, long time. I have clients that they don't have check stock. That's just foreign to them. And then I also have clients that will always have checks because they're in an industry, attorneys, being able to, the construction. So those general contractors, a lot of them like to be able to have checks. And so in their industry, checks might remain. But for the majority of our people, they just want something simple. And then Tipalti is going to be for those high volumes. So if you think about larger businesses that are going to need more features than some of your other kind of clients, these are going to be sometimes your mid-level firms would be a fantastic fit for Tipalti. So if you're somebody who's using QuickBooks Online Advanced, then Tipalti might be the solution that you want to go look at. Corpay, same way. I would say go and look at both of those. And then lastly, we have Shatars over here. And so they're going to be able to do that end-to-end virtual processing as well. And it's going to also be a solution that you would be able to utilize for a lot of your variety of clients. Okay, so let me look and see in chat if I've got any questions. And I'm also pulling up this solution that I was talking about. Okay, so QBOA doesn't seem to know. So Dave, if you've got a client that's using Bill.com, they're not going to be able to have the Melio option. Oh, when you're saying that support would also struggled. Sometimes I've called back and got a different support person because they can do it and they're the right person to be able to help you. Because it's going to take, you know, the back end, it's going to maybe take even engineering to help you with making sure, yes, be persistent, to be able to flip over to that new solution. Okay, all right, drum roll, y'all. Here it is. So this is the solution that we are implementing. So Ledger Sync, it is what has replaced HubDoc for us. There's some cool features here. I won't go into all of them, but this is the solution that we've flipped over to because of HubDoc not being an option for our clients. It will fetch bank statements. It will fetch obscure bank statements, and then it also get credit cards, and then all of the vendors that you want to be able to pull in all of those various bank statements or bill payments, or one thing whenever I'm thinking about managing properties, so real estate investors, they have a gajillion OG&E bills here in Oklahoma, so one for every single apartment. LedgerSync would be able to go out and grab all of those bills for each one of those, the electrical services for each one of those different apartments, and be able to have them available for viewing. And so you can name them, and you'll be able to say, are they vacancies? Are they the laundry room, the office, whatever? So they have got a whole lot of options that are built in. I'm gonna come over here and say, oh, I love auto entry. Yes, Michael, that's another one that's a great solution. Auto entry, you're calling out a solution that we also really like. Auto entry does a variety of different things. This time of year, auto entry, if those of you out there who don't know auto entry, the thing that they do also really well is if you've got some bank statements that you have them fetch, then you would be able to also turn those into a .qbo file or a CSV file. And so they're going to go just a little step further to be able to say, go ahead and convert those. We have a client right now that has not filed taxes since 2018. And so we've got bank statements for all of those years. And being able to use something like PDF to .qbo, something like that, would definitely be your friend, and auto entry does that well. So auto entry is a solution that's going to be able to handle multiple different types of tasks. So I'm back over inside of QuickBooks, and I think there was a question that was asking about the receipt capture inside of QuickBooks Online, and I'll show you that while it's pulling it up. I also want to make sure that if you're somebody who has got one of the clients that does not have this view of this navigation, and they've got the new business view, I've been transitioning them over here to our accountant view because it's just so familiar. But this would be where the receipts, if you're using something like Melio, or you're using the solution that's going to be able to have the bill created inside of QuickBooks, then this is a great place to be able to upload or to have that forwarding email address. And then down here, you can create, instead of an expense, you would create the bill. And then that bill would be available to use in various ways. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the other thing I wanted to call out today is the upcoming making payments. So Avid Exchange. So this is an article, and I would go in and check it out because there's more coming in the line of payments and plugins for QuickBooks Online. I want to thank everybody for joining us. There's a lot of solutions out there. Trying to wrap your head around all of the various solutions is sometimes tough. So thanks for spending the last hour with me going through what's available. And again, we just cherry picked a few here. So being able to see what's available, so that way you know if it's worth the investment of your time for yourself and your client. So is it going to work long-term for you? Those are all definitely considerations. So thank you everyone for joining. And Gary, I am going to pass it back over to you.
All right. Thanks, Liz. Thanks for your hard work and pulling that together. Just in closing, I did put the presentation itself into the chat early on, and we will also have it attached to the follow-up. So you should be able to download it from the chat. I do want to give everybody a heads up. We do have a few more webinars coming up. We have one tomorrow at 2 o'clock entitled 3 Ways Accountants Can Save Clients $79,000. Its primary focus is around 401k plans from a company named 401go. On February 2nd, we have scale your financial operation capabilities with AP automation. That's actually a little bit deeper dive. Liz is doing that. That is with Tipalti. And on February 3rd at 2 o'clock, we have digital marketing for accountants. That's actually being presented by Method. And on February 10th, simple data integrations for budget forecasting. That also is at 2 o'clock. And that is featuring a company named C Data. Thank you again, Liz, for your time. Thanks for putting this together. Thank you, everyone who spent an hour with us. We know your time is valuable. We certainly hope that you found this to be a good use of it. I know I certainly learned some things. So, Liz, thanks again. Everybody, we will see you very soon. Thanks. Have a great week.